Hello and welcome back to the Deskwarmers Podcast. My name is Matthew.
And I'm Ike, but you don't sound like Matthew.
What are you talking about? What are you talking about? I just saw the movie 28 Years Later.
Yeah, is it English?
Yeah, it's English. I can't hold it up for very long. It's good.
No,
it's like short and sweet.
You're abnormally good with accents, though. It's true.
Well, I don't know.
I can compliment you there.
Yeah, well, this isn't the accent show, is it? As much as I would like for it to be.
It's the Deskwarmers Podcast, Matthew. I mean, I'm still coming off the high of our episode last week with the 4 guests. That was fun. Or 4 podcasters.
Yeah,
really.
4 podcasters. That was a first for the Deskwarmers Podcast. And with our guest today, we do have another first.
It's got to be a first.
It's got to be a first.
Of our good friends, I'd love to introduce Steven. Hi, Steven.
Welcome, Steven. How are you?
It's wonderful to be here.
We're happy to have
I'm
you.
doing good. It's hot outside today, so it's nice to be in a cool environment to chill out with friends.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And Steven, why are you the first of this week's, or what are you the first of, I should say?
Well, I am the first spouse of an ALT. Not ALT, nothing more than that. I am just a good old husband.
Good old husband. So
An
not only are you the
honest
first
working.
spouse, not only are you the first spouse, you're the first non-ALT we've had on the podcast.
Yeah.
That was-
Which is kind of a big
That's
deal
a good point.
for kind of an
Yeah.
ALT-centric podcast. But we felt like you, as a spouse, as a loving husband, probably have a lot to say about the experiences of a spouse in Japan.
Yeah. There are endless and probably more than what I even experienced.
Really?
Yeah.
We're so excited to get into that. Now, Steven, how long did you live in Japan for with your ALT wife?
In total, I have lived with Paige around 9 months in country.
Okay. In Japan. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you broke that up over a few different
Correct.
kind of travel visits, right?
Yep. The first time I came there, it was about 2 weeks. Second time was 3 months. And then finally, I stayed there for 6 months.
Wow.
Nice.
Okay,
Yeah.
so for that first 2 weeks, if you don't mind me asking, why was that so short? Because it seems kind of like a shorter time. Was it just to visit?
It was a visit. It was a visit that allowed me to be there during one of the festival periods, or I believe I don't really remember what the festival was for, but me and Paige just traveled around in Tokyo and that general area.
Yeah.
Sounds
That's fair,
awesome.
She
'cause-
was off, and it was nice.
Because you do, I believe, have the option that when you first go to Japan as an ALT, you can bring your husband or wife or partner with you, right?
Yeah. Yes.
But you didn't go immediately after. You stayed in the U.S. for a bit of time working, and then you kind of staggered your visits to actually be in Japan for those amount of times, right?
Yeah. Initially, as we were married before Paige really settled in for the opportunity of being an ALT in this. In that period, I was finally getting a progress in my own career in the States, and I couldn't just drop everything and go. If one of the things with the ALT program is that you need a bachelor's degree to officially become part of it, and I simply just have my high school diploma and never went to any extended education. So I would, even though I was interested, it was just impossible to proceed from there.
Yeah.
So I
for sure.
stayed in the States working, making up the money lost, because as everybody here knows who has experienced the Japanese economy, the yen kind of took a little bit of a dip.
Oh my
Yes.
gosh. Yeah.
Yeah.
And for for you to be making your own salary, but for Paige, also your wife, to be making the Japanese like salary in that kind of economic shock a few years back, where the yen conversion rate to the dollar was really, really low, and kind of because you guys have shared income, that must have kind of been a little bit of a hit.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's challenging.
Yeah, with the educational loans that we took out so that Paige could finish her college degree, and just smaller things like me having to pay insurance on a car for a bit that we were debating if we were gonna keep paying insurance on it or just like officially just put it in the garage and no longer think about it.
Yeah,
those sort of expenses piled up. And also I feel that I wanted to give Paige the best opportunities and access to go on these amazing trips that your group specifically went on throughout the country, that I could just throw money at the issue whenever she was like, yeah, but like I don't have enough money this week. I'm like, nope, you go have fun.
Oh, that's so nice.
That is super helpful.
Yeah, I mean, we appreciated her being on those trips.
Oh my God, yes. I love my wife. She is an amazing planner.
Yes.
And the thoroughness and the ability that she had to put effort into each and one of those trips. I remember you guys experienced it. It was a wonderful time.
Well, you joined us on a few of them too, Stephen, while you were there, because you went to Okinawa. I know with me that was about a month before Matthew got there, so that was very sad.
So it basically didn't even happen.
Yeah,
as far as I'm
basically,
concerned.
Sometimes we hallucinate that Matthew was there, but actually
they do this all the time. You're like, do you remember when we were on that beach in Okinawa and like someone was running throughout the beach, and I'm like, no, I don't remember that. Remember how the Airbnb was so far away, and I'm like, oh yeah, no, I totally no, I remember. I still remember it perfectly.
Now you can be the hidden Hydra. You can be the hidden Hydra in the storyline.
The hidden Hydra.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like that.
That's me.
But yeah, I mean, it was great, Stephen, when you were there, because you got to experience, I think, a lot of the same things that we all were, having fun doing. We got to go to those weekly sports days we talked about. Even the Japanese tutoring I know you showed up at.
Oh, yeah.
And so there were a lot of aspects of you just living there that we were always seeing you. You were immediately, welcomed into our ALT community, of course.
It's kind of like you were an ALT.
Yeah. Which was super nice. Even though I couldn't like go to school with you guys and do the work that you guys were doing, it never felt like for a moment that I was ostracized in any sort of way. It was like, yeah, Steven's here. Let's go do stuff.
Well, you're not ostrich-sized, you're human-sized, but I appreciate the sentiment. Stephen, wait, actually, I was just, who do we have on that was talking about the language exchanges?
Our CIR, Luke.
Yeah, Luke. When Luke was on, I told him, like, because he had those language exchanges in... what was the name of that town?
Ashikita?
Ashikita, yeah. He would do those language exchanges. I told the story, Stephen, about when the two of us went together to that language exchange. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
That was so funny. That was so funny. That was like my fourth week in Japan.
Was it really?
It's fourth or fifth, because he did that in like either September or October.
Yeah.
And like I didn't know too much Japanese, and you didn't know too much Japanese, so we were kind of like in the novice area, and having to survive that with you was really quite the experience.
It was a fun harrowing. The people in there were super sweet and pretty patient for what at least I gave them.
Very patient for
That's
us.
Awesome. I know it wasn't uncommon, though, Stephen, like you were messaging, or not messaging, but saying, to be welcomed in the community. I also had another friend, and he was also married. He was the ALT. His wife was just there living, and she actually was able to participate in a lot of the activities at his school. So she would get special permission from, I think it was a prefecture, ALT, since to get the ability to actually go to some of the English camps or to help on certain like weekend like kind of activities and things like that. But I wasn't sure, did you ever have the opportunity to actually like go to Paige's schools or do anything in the like teaching community?
I didn't get to go to any of the schools for actual teaching events. I did get to go to like after school events. One that I particularly remember was I think it was at one of Matthew's schools, where there was food and essentially was it a Remembrance Day? I'm sorry, I can't entirely remember.
Was it the mountain school?
Yeah, it was the mountain school.
Yeah.
The day that I had to go run and catch a tent or some sort of banner.
Yeah, the tent flew away.
Yeah,
it lifted away, and then you went and saved it.
Yeah.
That mountain school, that was the culture festival, and the culture festival at that mountain school is like known throughout the prefecture for being very interesting. They do like chainsaw carvings, and they sell like the mountain fish like on a
literally
stick,
just from the stream right beside the school.
Yeah,
that's so cool.
Deer meat pizza bao buns, so delicious.
That's what that was. Okay, no wonder it was so beyond.
And I thought it was really funny too because Steven, your wife Paige had come up with me to the sports festival where she had met my JTE, this wonderful woman, and she was so like talking with my JTE, and my JTE was so interested about you and her's relationship. So I think when you guys came up to visit the culture festival at that school, she was so excited to meet you and talking with the two of you about.
Yeah, we talked for a while, just like about my experience in Japan at the time and being there for so long, but not actively being an ALT myself. They were confused at first, being like, "Oh, you're not an ALT."
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And that is usually the answer, I would say, to, I mean, probably like 80% of foreigners living in Japan. If a Japanese person asks, "Oh, what are you doing here?" you're going to say, "Oh, I'm an English teacher," right? Yeah. So I'm sure it is a little bit of a shock to say, "Oh, I'm living in Japan," but not necessarily a teacher. So it's definitely it's a good way though, because I know a lot of people that want to live in Japan, it's being an English teacher is the best way to get there. Yeah. But maybe the second best way is marrying someone that wants to be an English teacher in Japan.
That could be it.
And then you're able to go. So maybe that's the out of the loop hack that we can get people to know.
Well, Steven, we may as well just jump right to it. Did you have any well, actually, this question that I have is actually a Discord question of the week. Round of applause for Carl the Pumpkin Man, who comes at us with this question. Did you want to / were you able to / what options were available for you for getting a job?
I did want a job. I admit I come from a household where staying home all day was not looked upon in a kindly light, and well, I have a bit of an ambitious trend to it. Sadly, I, not having even fundamental Japanese language skills to have bare conversations, it made getting jobs in any of the towns that I went to a general, "Hi, I can speak very little Japanese and I'm here to work." And that was not a very compelling selling point when, I mean, there are people here who actively don't need to be handheld into the business. Even though, I mean, I can do most of the farm type of work. I have a minimal farming lifestyle that I've grown up with, and even that couldn't save me from just the language barrier preventing any job outside of ALT work. And ALT work requires other things.
I know from the go ahead.
But I did get really good at being a house husband.
Okay.
Yes.
The house hus.
Yeah.
And I think I want to hear more about that, Steven, too. But going back to the first question, too, given your visa, the spousal visa allowing you to stay in Japan for this longer amount of time, did that allow you to work?
It allowed me to only work in certain formats. I could do online work. I could do day labor work. Those are the only two jobs that I could do. So I aimed for like day labor farming work in the area that I was at, and like online jobs that would be available. I did come to the country with a good setup computer. Unfortunately, during my travel here,
I heard about
it suffered catastrophic damage.
I remember that.
Yeah. I came to Japan with a 50-pound nice tower that I had personally gotten set up, and its motherboard was cracked in the transit. So
magically, when you took it out of the bag, it turned into a 50-pound brick.
Yeah.
It's a magic computer.
Expensive piece of luggage for certain. Because I also brought my computer and I like fully bubble wrapped it. Like I built a micro tower specifically for Japan, and I like bubble wrapped it. And I think I took out the graphics card and like wrapped that separately.
That just that's make me nervous.
Yeah,
I did a few things just to try to ensure that it would arrive in one piece.
I had that set up as well. Unfortunately, during because it was COVID times, and Air Canada was so nervous about me because they were just turning people away completely middle of their trips going to Japan because of the smallest of things. They were like, "I'm sorry, but we're not going to be able to successfully get you to Japan. We can get you to Zurich Airlines, though. They're usually able to get through." In that process, though, they didn't warn me that I couldn't have the amount of bags that I did.
Oh.
Yeah.
Were you also bringing things for Paige, or was this all just your stuff?
Yeah. This was all of my stuff and Paige's stuff. So I had to make a in-moment panic check to take my computer that I had brought with me for my carry-on and shove it into a bag that was not rated for safe travel because I couldn't bring it on board. And
yeah. Oh, wow.
All the hurdles to get to the country.
Sacrifices were made, right?
Yeah.
Did you at some point get it repaired at a center, or was it just broken the entire time?
It was broken the whole time. I got a replacement that was just a laptop.
Okay.
But
yeah, that's tough though. And
very disappointing.
So, Steven, how was it for you then? Like just in your daily life, because you and Paige shared a car, right?
Yeah.
So she would be at work, I presume taking the car most days. And then you would be at home, or was that ever difficult for you, or?
No. And the reason is Japan actually builds their cities to be walkable.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the convenience store was maybe a mile away, and that's a nice walk, even though it was a bit of a adjustment initially to get used to the wet heat that was going on.
Yeah.
Because I'm a Wisconsinite. I was born and raised here, and I'm used to the cold. I'm used to like like brief spikes of some a little bit of muggy heat, but not to the level of Japan. So getting around was initially difficult.
Yeah, for sure.
But getting around wasn't too bad.
Like, I imagine if you ever needed to, you could have also dropped her off at work and then taken the car for the day,
which we've done before. One of her furthest at school, I just dropped her off, and I went to get photos that were being developed on the opposite side of town, because that one was actually far away. But, yeah. And then eventually, I got myself a bike license.
Oh,
ring, ring. Yeah,
importante.
Yeah, it was super. It was a little stressful because that was the one and only time I had to directly interact with police. Because it was at the police station that you got your license at.
You get it registered, yeah.
Yeah.
And usually the teachers or your tantosha, like your whoever's in charge of you, will usually help you with that process. So for you didn't have that same, I assume, kind of option.
I did have Paige. Paige was with me. The only time was that the officer was insistent that they wanted to speak with me, so I knew what I was doing, because it makes sense. You're giving somebody a license to use a vehicle. You want to make sure that they're not
so generous.
Even if it is a bike,
I was about to say,
Japanese have some pretty. They've got some pretty strict bicycle rules, like no playing music through headphones.
No,
that's a crazy one.
That one took a lot of like mental remembrance.
Mental strength, right?
Yeah, mental strength to follow through, because I have a bike here. I'm used to just like riding down the road with my Beats player, and it's like, what am I doing out here without any sort of entertainment, counting cars?
Yeah. If you don't have any entertainment while you're like driving, like on the road, like what are you doing? I have to be distracted when I'm on the road.
You need to just be on your phone, while you're driving.
Or like when you're on your bike.
Way.
Yeah. Oh wait.
Just like scrolling through TikTok just while you're in the car.
That's also illegal.
Yeah,
in
for
Japan,
sure.
At least.
I think in the U.S. too.
I looked this up because it was something that I heard. I've heard that sometimes spouses of people working in Japan, while they're not technically on work visas, they're on spousal visas, they can have jobs, like you said, day labor, or like as an ALT or something like that. I've heard a lot of people try and get jobs at 7-Eleven. Or like any other convenience store. And I looked this up, and it seems to be true. I don't know if it's like a program
seems so
that
hard
7-Eleven
though,
has
without the Japanese.
Well,
yeah.
Look, if you're, go ahead.
I imagine that if you have the language skills, it is a nice walk-in. Hello, can I get a job? And it's like, all right, you can start.
Yeah, that would be better. But if you're on a team of people who like they kind of know English, like team of like it's like 5 people running the 7-Eleven, let's say, at once, or 4 people, and like 3 of them are Japanese, and then it's just you, and you don't know a lot of Japanese, but like you have done some training and you can kind of get there. They tell you, oh, you need to stock these packages in here, or you need to basically just stock shelves.
The hardest thing about that though is you have to master, like, do you want a bag?
Oh,
you have to master that.
Oh no.
And then you're going to have to master, like, can I heat that up for you?
Yeah.
You're going to have to, there's a few phrases though that you're going to have to remember.
The dialogue tree, when you walk into a 7-Eleven and you go up to the counter, the dialogue tree that pops up, that's like that's the thing you have to master first if you want to come.
That's like at a gas station too. There's like the dialogue tree for how much gas do you want? What type of gas?
Diesel.
That was one of the things that I actually got pretty used to, because they do it right after you pay. And then when I was there alone, I was hearing them say, "Thank you for your visiting and all that. Would you like a bag?" And I understood the first part, but "Would you like a bag?" was always like, what did you say? I don't know that part. Instead of instead of saying, "Come in," I don't understand that.
Okay. Was your go-to response for both of you, Steven and Matthew? Would you say yes or no if you got a question that you did not know the answer to, or you did not know what it means? Would you say yes or no?
I always said no.
Yes, I would always say yes.
I would say yes.
You always said yes?
I was team yes.
I am team yes.
I just hi.
Yeah, for me, that's so like easy. Like hi, and like hi. Japan is like a very like you go with the flow kind of society. You don't want to be the grain that sticks out. You don't want to go against the flow. I said that twice.
Yeah.
But if you say no, that could be like, oh, why are they saying no? Like.
Right, that opens up an entire new dialogue tree if you say no. Then you're just diving deeper into the prompts.
Plus, if they are saying something like "Have a nice day," you could just say "Hi," and that's an acceptable response.
Yeah, imagine. Yeah, no, I don't think I will.
I don't think I will.
I'd rather not.
No, I'm going to have a terrible day.
So that was always my go-to response if I didn't understand something, but. I feel like you can get by just doing that.
For me, I always said no because I would rather not agree to something that I can't offer them versus
good point.
Turning into a situation of being like, oh no, I have to pull out my phone and ask for help.
Well, Steven, I know one of the funniest stories I heard from you was another form of miscommunication in Japanese. It took place in a certain taxi. I don't know if you want to share that story with the group.
This was probably one of the first few weeks that we were in Japan because Paige went directly from work to having an after night with friends, and I was at home cleaning up, and she called and said, "You want to come out?" And I was like, "Absolutely. How do I get there?" She said, "I'll just call you a cab. That'll be fine." The downside of this is I hadn't gotten a proper SIM card for my phone yet, and it's on me for not reminding her. It's not something that she was used to dealing with. So I was phoneless when she said that when you get here, I'll just like call down. I'll come down and pay the person because she had the money like actually in to pay since I didn't have. Cards aren't universal, and that was a very hard lesson to learn.
Yeah. Even in our taxis, it was either pay or cash.
Yeah.
It was never card. It was never card. Yeah.
And coming from where I'm from, like you can. Like, whenever you go to Chicago, you can be like, all right, I'll just tap the...
Yeah, everyone's got a card reader.
Yeah, and I'm still getting used to it. And I hop in this car with this nice old man. He realizes that I can't speak Japanese. And we're just, like, having a nice, cordial silence in the car. And then we get to the event place, and he's like, all right, you can pay now, in like the like most chipper English that I've heard in a minute. And I was like, oh, I'm waiting for my wife. And then his face just like scrunches inwards and is like, you can pay now. And I'm like, I don't have money. My wife has the money.
Oh no.
And he's like, okay, if that is the case, I can just call the police. And I was like, what?
Does he say that in English?
No, not fully in English, like part English. And then my wife explained to me the words that he said that I could repeat.
Okay.
Yeah. And he slowly is developing his temper because clearly like this person's trying to scam him out of money because some foreigners here are trying to like game the system. I'm like, I swear to you, my wife is up there. If you want, you can come with me and we can go.
Like, let's go. Let's go.
And like, I'm trying to do everything that.
But he did not want you to go solo upstairs because he thought you would not return.
Right, and
I assume.
I had a bag with me, and I was like, "Here, you can have my bag while you're waiting, because I need."
He probably
this."
thought you were trying to sell him your bag
I
in
bet he
exchange for the
was.
fare.
He was so confused.
God.
He was so confused.
Oh my
Oh,
gosh.
man.
Wait, how did you get out of
Think
this?
I
No,
got
so
out of it.
I can tell the opposite side of the story because I'm upstairs in our favorite bar, Campanule. We're all sitting at a table. Paige has called this taxi for Steven. It felt like only like 5 minutes ago or something crazy. And so eventually Paige is like, oh, maybe I should go downstairs and like, see if they've arrived. And Steven had arrived so quick. Like, I don't even know how the taxi got to your apartment, brought you all the way to the drinking area in this matter of like 5 minutes or 10 minutes or
Right.
something crazy.
We hit
But
every green light.
by the time Paige gets down there too, I think you had already been in the taxi like at our place for a good 5 or so minutes just waiting, it seemed
Yeah.
like. And so Paige ran downstairs, paid the man, and then as far as I know it was okay. He didn't actually call the police, but
No.
it was the
He
threat
definitely
for sure.
pulled out his old-timey flip phone and started dialing.
119 119.
Yep.
119.
He showed me the numbers. Like
I'm going to
like,
call
this
this number.
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, if anything, the police would come. They wouldn't arrest you. They'd have someone who might be able to speak a little English, or would
just
give you
pull out Google
or
Translate
pull out
or
Google
something.
Sensei.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Yeah. And that was the worst part. I had my phone, but I
Yeah.
had no signal, so I couldn't
Oh.
even do that.
And he wasn't able to do it on his little
no
flip
money,
phone.
no internet, like no Japanese. It was a doomed
I was
situation.
flying by
Oh
the
my God.
seat of my pants, and I was saved by that beautiful angel known as Paige Turner.
I don't know if I've ever been that like helpless in a situation like that. That's like it's harrowing.
Yeah. I've my father's side of the family is from Nigeria, so I've been there a couple of times, and I've run into situations where it's just like we can't communicate, and there's
Yeah.
no signal to help with anything. So we just have to wait till somebody walks by who can can you speak English? Like, can you translate for me?
It's similar, slight tangent, but one of my early childhood memories, I was in France, and my grandpa, he did not get off the train on time. The doors shut in his face. All of the rest of me and my family had gotten off the subway, and we just see the doors close on him.
Grandpa,
and his
no.
face through the glass is just so sad, right? And he did not have cash. He did not know where we were going. He did not know the hotel we were staying in. He did not know anything, like which station. He didn't know, like, basically at this time there were no phones either.
Yeah.
And so like he was just stranded, and we went to our the station that we were all planning to go to, because I think we had to get on another train, and we just waited there for like 3 hours, and eventually we see him walking through the crowd.
Oh my
And
gosh.
he is so upset. And I remember me being like 10 or something. It's just like, Pop does not look too happy to see us. Like, his entire day was ruined. But that was such a memorable event for him that he now like refuses to carry less than like $500 in cash in his wallet. He's like always on top of things now.
He'll
like
never be-
it's memories like that like make you prepared, that make
For
you like
sure,
realize
100%.
that you don't want to be in that situation again, because it's a really tough,
The only time I
scenario
saw
to
my
be in.
grandpa that sad, the way
Yeah.
you described it,
He was so sad.
was when we forced him to go on Splash Mountain at Disney World. And we got all wet.
That made him sad.
That made him really sad. Yeah.
Oh, well, I mean, I'd argue my grandpa had a tougher time than yours, but
Well,
that's beside the point.
look, we're not comparing grandpas.
Yeah,
over here.
we're not here for that. But
We're not here for that.
I guess another thing, Steven, is we never clarified at the start. Was it easy for you to get this spousal visa to actually come to Japan?
So that was something that me and Paige talked about before the podcast today, because most of it wasn't even touched by me, because it had to be done by Paige. Like,
Yeah.
like she had to bring the paperwork of our documents into the visa department herself, because Japan's a paper country where you have to like go and put your documents in front of people, and then they check it out and like, all right, you're good, now we can keep going.
Sounds about right.
Yeah. So for my side, it was mostly maintaining like the flow of documentation that they were asking for to Paige so that she could bring it to the places. Birth certificates, our marriage certificate, all of that just had to like scan and send to her.
Mm-hmm.
And now we have so many of those that I bet even if this house burned down right now, we would have some like floating around in the world.
Extra copies of like birth certificates and identifications and stuff.
Yeah.
It seems important, but it's really important when you have to have it. And I kind of like your grandpa. You don't want to be in a situation where you don't have.
You want those documents.
Those documents. Even
but
just like in.
If I recall correctly, Stephen, as well, during COVID times when the country was closed down, it was a lot harder to get you in. And I think Paige was originally going to put in the application, and then something changed, and so then she, I believe, like resubmitted it with much looser requirements. But I think typically it's not a necessarily difficult thing. There just might be slightly time consuming, is what it sounds like. So
yes, because you don't know the exact requirements unless you go there, because their website didn't have the requirements on there. So Paige had to go to the place, ask what's going on, call me, see if I can send it in a timely fashion. Otherwise, it's like, all right, she's going to go home, then drive back again. So that we can get to.
And this is like you're going international, like calling and checking, and then like one day she goes to the visa office, which I'm in Tokyo or like Fukuoka or something like that.
I think so.
Oh my god! Like
because these were like day trips for her.
Yeah, it must have been Fukuoka then.
Yeah,
I think there is a consulate in Fukuoka. So that sounds like a hassle, but
to say the least. And I would hope that's something that one of your Japanese teachers would be able to help with, like help Paige with, as far as like calling them or like asking what the requirements
like for
are.
our viewers, for our very dear viewers who are all subscribed and who all have already liked the episode. If you want to get your spouse over to Japan and you're already in Japan, of course you can have a coworker help with that.
Yeah. So that's all good things to keep in mind. But how long was the duration actually good for? Was it good for the entire time she was there, or like as long as her visa's good, you're good? Is that how that kind of works?
Yeah.
Okay. That's
I can leave whenever, but as soon as I left, the visa was null and void. So like leaving the country for any sort of reason was an automatic like.
Wow.
Yeah, that's one of the. That's one of the issues with our idea for the Thailand trip.
You were supposed to.
I was supposed to, but like both money and then realizing that we would have to go and fiddle with more visa work, because that counts as leaving. So
that's crazy, right? Like you're basically have to go back to the U.S. after you leave.
Yeah,
and then wait for all those documents to get re-signed. So
and then Paige was basically 1 foot out the door anyway after that.
Not much longer left.
The benefit is that we had already gone through the process and we had all the paperwork already, so it wouldn't have been too hard. I'm pretty sure if I wanted to do it right.
Well, you did it. You did it twice, right? Like you were here for 3 months. You were in Japan for 3 months, and then you went back home for maybe 6 months, and then you came back for another 3 months.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
And it's like any time in Japan that you need to do something official, you have to go back to City Hall and get your Juminhyo, your like,
oh my gosh,
that paperwork that like the dumbest thing about that is they're like, oh yeah, we need a version within like 30 days. It's like they don't care if nothing's changed. They're like, we need a new crisp version for us.
Just go to City Hall. They got to make sure that you are a real citizen.
And sometimes they would ask for like, oh, it needs to include my number. And then sometimes it'd be like, no, it can't include my number. Like, it's
my God. Did you ever have a My Number card?
I never got one, no.
I did not.
I do.
Yeah.
Oh, you want to hear something very, very tragic? very
Yes.
extremely tragic. That happened to me personally,
Oh.
which I'm so sad about, and have been crying over silently in my sleep. I was walking the streets of Chicago, the very fun and friendly streets of Chicago. I was walking from about where the Bean is, Millennium Park, not Millennial Park. Millennial Park is when my sister tries to park a car. That was a joke. Millennium Park to the Amtrak station. Somewhere along that walk, it was like a 20-minute walk, my wallet either fell out of my bag or I got pickpocketed, because it wasn't in my bag but when I got to the train station. And in there, all of those things were replaceable except my Japanese driver's license.
No. So it's gone?
My Menkyo, my driver's license, is gone. It's completely
so
gone.
Sad.
That's another
I'm
thing
actually... Go ahead, Steven.
That's another thing about Japan that I miss, is the fact that, like, oh no, I lost something. It'll eventually pop up again by somebody finding it.
Yeah.
Good Samaritans.
No, I have a friend, Momo, in Kumamoto, and she lost her wallet. Somebody fished it out of a river 6 months later and turned it into the police office, and they sent it to her.
Insane. That's insane.
It was in a river.
Wow.
Like,
For all I know, that's where my wallet is, in the Chicago River.
In Japan, a river in Japan. Wait, did I tell my story of losing my wallet in Osaka?
no,
I don't know if I have. This was the final day. This was before your time, Matthew, so I apologize. But
No, I was there.
he was there. We were, some of the other friends we've had on the podcast were all just hanging out, Kyoto, Osaka trip during the Golden Week. And the final day comes along, we're packing. I can't find my wallet. The day before we are about to go to the train and then to get on a plane to come back to Kumamoto.
You need
And so I need my wallet. The good thing is, though, the one caveat to this story, though, is in Japan, when you go through a domestic flight, they don't even look at you. They don't even care if you have an ID. They don't care if you had a bomb strapped to your chest.
Well,
they would
I think
let
they
you
would
walk
care.
through.
I think they would care about that.
If you're drinking water, we've talked about this. They're very lax
lenient.
for the domestic flight. So I think I could have gone through the airport, because they just look you up by your like name or something and print out a little thing for you.
Yeah.
But I didn't have a Suica, so I couldn't, and I didn't have money. I didn't have any of my cards. Luckily, if I was alone, I would have been much more worried, because obviously I had friends there that were willing to, spot me some cash to get home.
I'm sure they would have. I mean, I was there. I would have.
Yeah, Matthew was going to loan me some money.
Yeah.
And we are in the train station. I am slightly freaked out, but mostly calm. And my friends are like, can you just look through your stuff one more time? In the middle of the train station, I open my entire suitcase, digging through it. My wallet's in my suitcase.
You packed your wallet.
I packed my wallet. And the night before, we had gotten home late, and I think I just threw it into my open suitcase on the floor, is what happened. And then the next day, I didn't, look through it well enough. And one of my faults is I'm definitely not the most thorough at searching, for certain. But I did find my wallet, crisis averted. I was thinking about all those things about how I was still going to get home. But I think it would be much scarier in the U.S. if I didn't have my wallet.
That's the thing, though.
I think I could do less. Where Japan, I'm pretty sure I could have boarded that domestic flight without any questions asked.
I was because I was in Chicago and I had to take.
Yeah.
I had actually taken the train. And I'm lucky that I had taken the train, and these were prepaid tickets by the people that I was working for.
Yeah.
This is when I was at the debate tournament in Chicago, being the coach judge thing. If we had taken a plane, I wouldn't have been able to get back.
Yeah,
I literally don't know how I would have been able to get on an airplane without my real ID card. I would have been stuck in Chicago.
I feel like there has to be some way that you can go up to TSA or something and get a verification, like an ID verification or something. But I don't know.
The only way that would work is if you got facial recognition off
Which
of the
they-
original card that you
Yeah.
like they would be able to pull up your ID.
Well, they have facial recognitions at airports.
Yeah,
now.
yeah, but that would be the facial recognition comparatively to an online like a picture of your card from
Well,
the DMV.
Well, they have my passport documented in.
Yeah.
Oh, then yeah,
NSA
you would have
stuff.
I've done that. I've had a situation where my passport actively fell between the plane and the on thing, and they
no.
they
What?
sent yeah. This was when I was.
How does
I
that
think,
happen? Wait, that's like my
Like
worst
the
nightmare.
ramp, getting through the little ramp area.
Yeah, the
to get
little
on
ramp
plane?
part.
Dude,
Yep,
there's
yep.
no way.
That's like
so-
falling into the crack of an elevator.
That's so
like-
unlucky.
Yeah.
And I didn't notice it until I got back to the States. And what had happened is that when I got there, I was like, I have not my passport. I don't know what to do. And then I go to the person like, hey, so I clearly came on that plane. I don't have my passport anymore. And they like looked me up and like, oh, your passport's been reported as being in France.
Oh no.
That's
But they
weird,
let you
too.
through?
Yeah, they let me through after that. Then
Wow.
they sent the passport.
I will say I got clear for like a year. I had that,
yeah.
to get through the airports faster.
Oh.
in the U.S.
And in the US, and they look at your passport and they scan your face just like you were talking about. The thing is, this photo was taken 9 years ago. I have a very different
You look
hairstyle, very different like facial structure,
Yeah.
like everything's different. Like I went through a transition in Japan, is all I'm saying.
Congratulations.
yeah.
Yeah,
look
thank you.
fine.
And the thing just kept reading an error. Like they were like, like, are you sure like this is you and stuff? And like it worked. I think after actually no, I take it back. It didn't work. And then I tried a month later, and I think they had updated their software or something, and it worked a month later. But
So their technology got better.
their technology probably
you're
improved,
saying.
but it was very sad for me because it was not registering my face. And some TSA agents do, because I still have that passport today. I actually need it to get it renewed next year still, so I have a bit more time. But people will look at that and be like, looking
Is
back
this
and
the same
forth,
kid?
like, is this him? Like, it's actually crazy how much people can look different than their image as well.
Yeah, I have one final transportation error story. This is when I was in
Okay.
China on a school trip.
Yeah.
I was in China. This was it was like 2016, I think. Yeah, 2016 is like when I was in high school, and we got these like high-speed rail tickets from Beijing to Shanghai, and I was like on the train, and somehow I lost my ticket on the train.
Oh no.
And people searched all over the train. Every
Yeah.
kid in my group helped me search for it on the train. It was just gone. So by the time the ticket guy came around, I was like, I don't know what to say. I don't have my ticket. And they're like, well, what do we do with you? Like, do we throw you off at the next station? And I'm like, I can buy another one. And then they were like, well, you shouldn't have been able to get on this train in the first place. So then they were saying like I'd snuck past the initial ticket check. And I'm like, I definitely didn't do that. I had it when I got on the train, and now I just don't. And minor heart attacks, right?
That
They let me stay on the train, but I had to write
I-
a formal apology to like the
What?
Shanghai Transportation or like the Chinese Transportation Authority. Like my the professor who was leading the program was like, you need to write a formal apology.
that's
And I'm like,
insane.
okay.
Yeah. I honestly wonder how much damage that one guy who recorded their sneaking through various like China and Japanese transportation services has done to things like that.
I mean, that's the
Oh, that
thing is-
YouTuber? Is
Yeah,
who
that
you're talking about?
YouTuber. Yeah.
Oh my
the one-
gosh, yeah, that guy.
Yeah.
I think he's a French guy, maybe.
Yeah.
And his whole thing is like, I'm gonna see how far I can get on this train without paying.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I mean, we're chaining stories here, but I remember in Japan, they were a lot more strict with you had to scan like before you got on any of the Shinkansen. Or even just the trains. You had to go through one of those, like trolley things, whatever you call it, the
turnstile.
gates. Thank you. And the crazy thing though was when we were in South Korea, they did not have a single check. There was nothing. Like you would just walk straight onto the train from the street. Like there wasn't even like a door that you would walk through. Like you would literally just get on the train.
And to think the country that made Train to Busan, to think that they wouldn't install some kind of pre-security check to make sure, I don't know,
no
a zombie doesn't get in.
That always baffled me though, because I think they did check once you got on, but
I mean that's the same. That's the same for America when you take Amtrak. They don't check before; they check when you're on the train.
I guess that's true, but they don't always check every stop. So there is a certain amount of leeway, or even if you were just cooped up in the bathroom or something, like there's definitely ways you could,
like the guy in
get around
Japan who was trying to beat the system. We're not endorsing this. No, we're
absolutely not.
I'm fully against that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's a bad look on him and the rest of us.
Definitely. They're really cracking down on stuff like that. Nuisance YouTubers like Johnny Somali and
didn't he finally get? Never mind.
Story for another day, but
I guess so.
Now one thing I wanted to bring up while we're still on this episode as well is I was thinking in my mind about
usually do that there.
What foreigners, work they can do without any Japanese. And I recalled that when I was walking through Harajuku, so this is Tokyo, so I don't think it would be the same in smaller areas, but Harajuku only had foreigners working, and they were all like advertisers. So they would be like passing things out on the street, and they were be like trying to, get you into their shop. Because when you are walking, even for restaurants, a lot of people will be like passing out menus or like trying to beckon you inside and stuff.
Yeah.
And I don't really think there was any Japanese necessary for that, because it's just about being, assertive is all that matters there.
Yeah, and that appeals to tourists because they're speaking English most of the time.
Yeah, and so that's another, especially in Tokyo, where people might, see a foreigner and be like, okay, like I can go there because I'm going to be accommodated. But I was thinking that I recalled walking through Harajuku, and literally like both sides of the street are just filled with like foreigners, like passing out things and like advertising and stuff. But
that kind of business is a little sketchy.
Yeah, it
was pretty sketchy.
Yes. I would agree.
Famous examples of people trying to coax you into a night at one of their restaurants.
Never follow the greasy.
Never follow any of those people into a restaurant.
Yeah. No,
please. If they tell you that it's $10 for all you can drink, do not trust them. They are lying. There is terms attached that they are not telling you. Don't do it.
Read the fine print before you go in.
I think another example though in our town was, I know at one point you met some like foreigners in Campanule, Stephen, and you were asking about like a construction job or something.
Yeah. There was a Swedish man who was working construction throughout southern Japan at various different sites, and he was trying to talk with the group mainly, and then slowly selected on me because like they were looking for anybody to just like sling rocks and build buildings,
just muscle.
And, and everybody there had a job, so they like slowly steadily pressed off of them. But then they got to me, who didn't have a job and was generally like open to the idea of it. They were interesting, but like those people from Harajuku, they seemed to be talking more than what they could provide.
Sure.
Yeah.
So and when I looked them up, their jobs were not as much as they were saying, and not nearly as direct. Additionally, they were also like a little bit more insular with like, hey, I know you're like you look like you can physically do the job, but like can you speak Swedish? And they're like, no.
It's like, what? No, definitely
yeah,
not.
like, no, sorry, I can't speak that.
Yeah. It's crazy the characters we would meet though, but I know we've talked about that before. So. Just
always slinging a little bit of promo to Makoto.
Yeah, Makoto-san. We love Campanule. We love Campanule.
One of the best places.
Yeah, I got some shirts of his.
Yeah.
The Campanule t-shirts. I saw on Le Reddit, which I don't know if this can be trusted, but dependents and people on a spousal visa can work 28 hours a week only.
Really?
Does that sound correct?
It sounds like more than I was allowed to.
Okay. So maybe Le Reddit is not the best source for information all the time.
I was on the spousal. I don't know about the dependent since they're very much two different things. You could technically put me on a dependent, but that would be awkward to explain.
Oh, sure.
Yeah,
that makes...
Yeah.
That would be weird.
Yeah.
Sure.
But from my memory, it was 14 hours a week.
That's so low. I do feel like it was absurdly low from what I remember. But
honestly, so here's my theory. If you are in Tokyo or one of the larger cities, it makes sense to have access and find actual jobs that you can do, because like for me, everywhere I went to that was a bar, there was at least like a brief moment where somebody asked me if I was a bodyguard there or like a bouncer, and these are questions from locals. So I started looking online for jobs like that, and I already have experience in security. So if I did live in Japan, I would have had a job. And those hours are
in Tokyo.
Yeah, in Tokyo. Thank you. In Tokyo. And those are like 4-hour shifts throughout the week. So like 4 days a week doing 4 hours, and boom.
Yeah, that's enough. Well, one of the biggest, I know, pluses that you had of just staying at home though is you were able to use the time zone to your advantage, because I know while Paige was at work, a lot of the days you would be still, able to talk with your friends and, connections back home as well. So I know you were heavily involved in stuff like that too.
It was one of the best aspects of the job, because everybody went to sleep when Paige came home, and when Paige had to go to work, everybody was like waking up.
Mm-hmm.
So the entire time that Paige was gone, I was cooking, cleaning, talking to people all day, every day.
Yeah, that's nice though. Yeah.
Sorry, I've been a little quiet. I found the law, and I've been reading legal definitions of different types of visas.
Future lawyer over here.
Been reading definitions of different types of visas. So in Japan, there are essentially 3 different types of visas: work visas, dependent visas, and permanent visas. Dependent visas encapsulate the spousal visa section.
Right.
So if you have a spousal visa, you basically have a dependent visa, which is like, but the section of that dependent visa is like the spousal side of it, not like the child side of it. Or
correct.
The and there's another part of it. But so Stephen, I think you would have been able to work 28 hours a week. Let's see.
Really?
While working on a dependent visa is generally not allowed. But it is possible to apply for permission to engage in activity other than that permitted by the status of residence previously granted. This will allow the dependent to work part-time up to 28 hours a week.
Special permission required.
Special permission, and that special permission is
pending
like
permission.
If you guys have to be like financially dependent on if you would be financially dependent on Paige, and you would be making a lower salary than her, then you would be able to do it.
Yes. Yeah. That's what that's essentially.
But the part-time, this like work excludes working in the adult entertainment business. So unfortunately,
Correct. And one of the things out there is that bouncing is entertainment in Japan.
Adult entertainment though.
Yeah. I guess I could.
We'll have to read what that entails.
We'll get into it. We'll get
have to see what that footnote, what that.
We'll get the guys from legal on there.
is about, but well, is there any other fun memories or stories you want to share with the?
Oh, I mean, we could go back to the beach running episode.
The beach running.
Oh, when you guys went to Okinawa, that I was totally there for.
Yeah. Well, of course. That's why we got to talk about that one in particular.
Yeah, definitely. Because I remember every single bit about that trip and how, speaking of working in the adult entertainment industry in that trip, Steven, I've heard some very interesting things that you did.
Oh, yeah.
I have secrets? Oh, what is this that you're talking about?
Maybe this is TMI for the podcast, but I heard there may have been some kind of large pole in a restaurant. You guys went to.
Listen, it was there. I was there. And we made it work just so well.
I've never seen someone so graceful, just flipping around, like upside down, like turning, like it was actually crazy.
I saw the video. You did a flip off of that thing.
I did do a flip off of it, and then proceeded to hurt my shins on the landing. But no, I did do a whole small routine on that pole because why not? It was there.
Why not?
That was the highlight of that.
And then the next table over started yelling
at you.
Like like cheering, yelling.
Oh, cheering!
That's good.
Okay. Yeah.
No, it was you were doing a really good job for certain.
Yeah.
But
so our audio listeners, if you can imagine whatever you imagine the voice of Steven to look like, imagine that person doing flips off of a pole,
twirling around, dancing. It was.
But
great.
otherwise, you guys enjoyed that trip to Okinawa, more or less.
Yeah. It was
fun.
it was a trip that really let us see everybody on the trip. Because we were in that hotel most of the time.
It was like an Airbnb house. Yeah.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
So like you enjoyed the camaraderie of the whole trip rather than
the AC
sights.
kept breaking as well in all the different rooms and
I don't know how that kept happening. I swear
we had it turned on so many fan speeds higher than it should have been.
You guys found the worst Airbnb in all of Okinawa.
It was bad.
And then the taxi rides, the 30-minute taxi rides.
It was an hour. And
was it an hour? I thought it was 30 minutes each way.
It was, oh gosh.
I can't imagine anything on Okinawa being an hour away from anything else.
Yeah, right?
Okinawa was pretty tall, actually.
Oh, it's like lengthwise?
Lengthwise, yeah. But even to get a taxi, it would take us an hour of calling because every taxi company would say, no, we don't want to go down there.
Yeah.
They're like, we don't want to go there. So we had our CIR, our N2 CIR, like, in very Keigo, like very Japanese, was the only shot we had because then they just thought she was Japanese. Where if they thought we were a foreigner, until she would say her name and then they'd get really confused. But before then, that was the only chance we had because they did not want to drive 30 minutes out of their way and they did not want to deal with a bunch of foreigners. So, but we made it work. We made it work.
I wouldn't want to deal with you guys either.
Yeah. It wasn't ever one car because of how many there were of us.
That also sucks.
Oh yeah, we always need at least 2 taxis.
Sucks. Yeah. That sucks.
I feel like I lucked out so well because I'm able to fall asleep in vehicles, so I just passed out for the trips.
It's like time traveling. Are you looking for something like?
I wanted to look up. I know the area we were in, Kion, Okinawa. I wanted to see how far from Naha. 41-minute drive.
So, yeah, there was. Yeah,
not great.
I did like the area that we were in because first off, you could see you like it was like 5 minutes to get to the beach.
You could walk pretty easily as well. But there wasn't even a kombini around us. Like, that was the other hard part. There were no restaurants. There was no kombinis.
There was the one restaurant.
The one restaurant that was open like 1 day a week.
1 day a week.
And we went there, and it was like someone's house. And she was so nice to us. She was so nice. But
I love that.
She like stuck us all on the like outside area, and the food was pretty insane. But yeah, we were trying to go, and it was only open and there was apparently like an ice cream truck that we like walked like 2 miles to get to, and of course it wasn't there. You know, it said on Google Maps that it was in our area. That was the closest thing we had.
There's nothing funnier. There's nothing funnier than getting a big group of people together when one person sees on their maps that like, hey, there's a thing here. I know it's here. We're all gonna go, and you walk all the way out there, and it's not there.
Yeah. It was. I mean, that was the hardest part. If we were a little closer to Naha, it would have been a bit more doable. Because
such a much different.
We realized that we couldn't drink without food, and we realized we couldn't, go out without drinking. So it was like there was just a whole series of confusions.
Every day was an ensemble of coordination, and so thankful for everybody who was part of that. Yeah, because we it worked out every night.
We made it work. Like we got Domino's one night. Most nights we would try to get up to the city or like bring food back or something. But
I think only one day we stayed in.
Yeah,
we all stayed in.
But good times.
Sounds like a vibe. Sounds like great for the summer.
Yeah, I think one of my favorite trips was the cabin trip for.
The
where
lake
we got
party.
The boar. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh no, I wasn't there for that.
Oh, you weren't. Oh no.
Yeah.
Paige had a big birthday bash,
yeah.
and it was at this cabin. Not super far away. Like, honestly, it was on the way to my mountain school. So I'd driven past it a lot, like this camping area. And like we check in to this cabin property. It's right on the river. It's a little secluded, a little out of the way, but it's right next to this big mountain bluff. And it's pretty far back in the forest once you actually get onto the property. But you go in and check in, and this guy who runs the property was all ready and prepared for us. We had this huge like double cabin. Oh no, I'm thinking of a different time. No, but we had a larger cabin. We had a larger cabin. There were actually two cabins.
We went there twice.
We went there 2 times, but in 2 different cabin situations. That first time where we got the free boar, this guy had just killed an inoshishi. Sorry, this guy had just trapped an inoshishi, and now he had it, and he's like, well, I don't know what to do with
prepared
it.
For food.
So we had like, I forget what we had up there to eat, but there were like 18 people staying up there that night. Wow. And there were so many people there. We were all drinking. We were all having like cake and partying. And this guy comes in and like, do you want my wild boar that I just caught? And we're like, yes, please. So we cooked the boar on the grill. Yeah. It was really, really cool.
Did it taste good?
Oh, it tasted awesome.
It was great.
I think I'd brought in maybe some of my barbecue sauce.
Oh.
Like barbecue
there was a
seasoning
sauce
or something
that was
like
brought.
that. Yeah. There was another.
It was you, Damon, somebody else that were doing grill mastering.
Oh. Could have been other Steven, maybe? Was he?
Yeah, Stephen Kenny.
Yeah.
Yeah. Y'all were doing grill master, and I just popped because I was like bipping bopping throughout the entire event.
That was fun. Yeah, get together with your friends and go to a cabin. That's something that I need to do more in America.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Like,
There's so
get
many
away,
things
please.
that we were.
Your work can survive without you for
Yeah.
a couple days.
So
Yeah.
many fun things that we
Like-
adventured, but
I think-
now I'm too complacent. You know,
You're
That-
so stuck in the
gotta get
daily
back out
grind.
there.
The rat
Gotta
race.
get back out there.
You're a
Yeah.
rat.
That one trip has one of my favorite film camera pictures that I've taken.
Oh, yeah?
It was of the river that was passing nearby, reflecting onto this giant, like, column of rocks, a
Mhm.
rock cliff.
Yeah, that
And
bluff.
it was so good. I love that picture so much.
That-
Yeah.
Cool piece of
That's
rock. Cool
Yeah.
piece of rock out there.
Kind of wanted to climb it, but they said no.
Yeah, that would have been too dangerous.
Yeah.
Abunai. Kero. Imagine. Imagine you climb the rock.
Well,
Anyway, Steven, is there anything else on your mind?
Just how I miss you guys, and I can't wait to see you in person again.
yes.
So heartfelt. You haven't seen Ike in so long. I just saw you.
I know.
I haven't
I know.
seen anyone in 2 years. It's
You're
been
isolated,
crazy.
man. You're on
I'm
an island.
very excited.
Oh, I saw Ray. That was it.
When
she
did Ray
stopped
pop by?
She stopped by North Carolina while she was in the area.
Cool.
We had a feast of crab, just like in Hokkaido. It was great.
Sounds fun.
But yeah, well, we loved having you, Steven. It was so fun to catch back up.
Genuinely, every single time. It's a great time to see you guys and hang out. Talk.
Yeah.
Steven, it was great. Thanks for coming on. For our listeners, next week I do have a very special video for you guys. It is my first ever produced video essay about my trip surviving Mount Fuji. There are perils. There are questionable decisions that I made. There are funny laughs and gags, and I've been working on it for about a week now. It should be done by next week, so look out for that.
I'm so excited
then.
to listen, Matthew.
You're excited for that then. You're going to be on vacation, is that correct,
Yes.
Ike? So
I will be abroad. Sadly, not in Japan, but abroad. So
abroad nonetheless. So
Yeah.
that's why we're doing that video for then, and then you should be back the week after.
yeah, for sure.
But otherwise, Steven, once again, thanks for the chat. This has been the Deskwarmers Podcast. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And
Yeah, we'll see you next week.
Thank
Well, you
very
won't.
much. Goodbye.
Peace.